The Constitution of India, Preamble. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this Constitution.
Hi children, today before beginning the session, I want to share the philosophy related to an ice cream and a candle. The philosophy of an ice cream. Enjoy it before it melts. The philosophy of a candle. Gives light to others before it melts. Dear children, we have to shift our attitude from being selfish to selfless. Then only we will be happy throughout our life. By saying this, I move on to the recap session. In the last class, we studied and understood about bryophyte. We came to know that bryophyte means bryon, mosses, phyton means plants, and they are the land plants with undifferentiated plant body. Bryophytes are also called amphibians of plant kingdom, that also we understood. And the characteristics of bryophyte, we understood that the plant body is thallus and the plant body is gametophyte. It is having male sex organ as well as female sex organ. And later on we understood after fertilization zygote develops, and this development of zygote will be later on moving into the development of multicellular body called sporophyte, and later on the sporophyte plant body will be producing spores which will be germinating to produce gametophyte. And the economic importance of bryophyte, we understood that it is used as food and it is helping to bind the soil as well as it is helping to keep the cut plant part moist during transportation. And then we understood that bryophyte also provide peat which are used as fuel. And then we came to know that bryophytes are divided into two classes, liverworts and mosses. The liverworts, the plant body is green, flat, dorsiventral thallus, and asexual reproduction is taking place by the formation of a specialized structure called gamete or by fragmentation. And what are gamete? That also we understood. They are green, multicellular, asexual buds develops in a receptacles in the thallus called gamma cup. This gamete is very important. Later on we understood that there is a male branch called anthridiophore and a female branch called archegoniophore, on which the anthridia is produced as well as in the archegonia, which is the female gamete which is produced in the archegoniophore, and these will be fusing, and after fertilization a sporophyte is produced there, and the sporophyte will be consisting of food, seta and capsule, and the spores are produced in the capsule. Later on the spores will be dispersed and they will be germinating to form gametophyte, example Riccia marchantia. And next we understood about mosses. In mosses the plant body is gametophyte and it occurs in two forms. Protonema stage, it is formed from the germination of spores. And what is protonema? It is creeping, green, branched and filamentous stage. Then comes the leafy stage. It develops from secondary protonema as lateral bud, and It consists of slender, erect axis bearing spirally arranged leaves. All these things we understood in the previous class. Later on we understood the figure related to protonema and leafy stage, isn't it? This is the leafy stage and this one is the protonema, that also we came to know. And then reproduction related to mosses, we understood that vegetative reproduction is taking place by fragmentation, as well as budding is taking place in the secondary protonema. Sexual reproduction is taking place there where male branch is formed which bears antheridia and female branch is formed which is bearing archegonia, and archegonia produces the eggs, and later on fertilization takes place where zygote develops into sporophyte, and the life cycle of mosses we understood in the previous class. Next, the sporophyte is differentiated into foot, seta and capsule. As usual, the spores are formed in the capsule and the spores germinate to form green branched filamentous structure called protonema. Example, Funaria, Polytrichum and Sphagnum. Next, we understood about the next class, that is pteridophyte. Pteris means fern, phyton means plants. These are seedless but they are vascular plants as they are having xylem and phloem tissues, and the plant body here is sporophyte, that is spore bearing plant body we can see in the case of pteridophyte. And here root, stem and leaves are seen in this plant, and the leaves are of two types, microphyll and macrophylls, that also we understood, which is very important. And the figure related to the fern we have seen here, root, stem and leaf, that is pteridophyte. And then we can see the spores are developed inside the sporangia, that is sac like structures, and these sporangia they arises on the lower side of the fertile leaf called sporophyll. And then we understood that the sporophyll form distinct compact structures called strobili. This is the strobili, isn't it? Here we can see strobili. So this also we understood in the previous class, and we understood that sporangia produces spores, and these spores germinate to form a thin, a heart shaped photosynthetic structure called prothallus. This is very important. It is a gametophyte in pteridophyte, and it is small, inconspicuous and multicellular structure which is formed from the germination of haploid spores, and it is independent and autotrophic. Prothallus in the case of pteridophyte is very important, and protonema in the case of bryophyte is very important. And the figure related to prothallus, which is heart shaped, isn't it? That also we studied in the previous class. And the gametophyte, it bears male sex organ which is having anthrozoids, and the female sex organ is there which is bearing archegonia, and later on fertilization takes place, zygote is formed there, and multicellular sporophyte is produced there, and the sporophyte will produce spores. And in majority of pteridophytes, the spores which are produced there will be similar type which are called homosporous, but in certain cases in pteridophyte we can see Selaginella and Salvinia, that are also pteridophytes, but they produces two different kinds of spores, that is megaspores and microspores. As they are producing two different kind of spores, these plants are called heterosporous plants. Megaspore germinate to produce female gametophyte, and microspore germinates to produce male gametophyte. That also we understood in this session. And later on we have seen the figures related to the spores produced by the fern, that is this is homosporous, this is heterosporous, isn't it, where this is megaspore and this is microspore. That also megaspore and microspore, that also we understood in this session. And then we understood in the session the difference between homosporous and heterosporous. Homosporous case, sporophyte will be producing single type of spores, bisexual gametes will be produced there which will be producing egg and sperm. The case of heterosporous, the sporophyte will be producing two different spores, megaspore and microspore, and these megaspore will be producing female gametophyte and microspore will be producing male gametophyte. Later on female gametophyte will be producing the eggs, and male gametophyte will be producing the sperm. And then we came to know about the life cycle of the fern, isn't it, in the previous class. And we also understood that the female gametophyte is retained in the parent sporophyte for a short period, and the development of zygote into young embryo is taking place within the female gametophyte, and this female gametophyte is retained in the parent sporophyte for a short period of time. And this event is the precursor, isn't it, to the seed habit. So, till here we understood related to pteridophyte. So, that is related to the last session where we studied and understood about bryophyte and pteridophyte. In this session we are going to understand and learn about gymnosperm as well as angiosperm and the life cycle related to the different groups of plants. So, the first is gymnosperm. These are naked seeded plants. That means gymno means naked, sperms mean seeds, and they are seed bearing vascular plants. The plant body is differentiated by roots, stem and leaves. In the case of gymnosperm, certain plants which are having roots, they are having a fungal association with the other plants in the form of mycorrhiza such as Pinus. In the case of Pinus we can see mycorrhiza, and in certain species of gymnosperm coralloid roots are found, which are specialized roots. They are associated with nitrogen fixing cyanobacteria, isn't it, and example is Cycas. So, in the Cycas it is coralloid roots we can see, and in the Pinus we can see mycorrhiza. So, this will be the base pair relationship. Pinus is to mycorrhiza, Cycas is to coralloid roots. This is very, very important, my dear children, you have to study it. Next, it has been said that needle like leaves help to reduce the water loss during transpiration. Example, conifers. And in the case of gymnosperm, which is very, very important related to vascular bundle, xylem tissue lack vessels and phloem tissue lacks companion cell. So, in the case of gymnosperm, xylem tissues it will be lacking vessels and phloem will be lacking companion cells. The plant body in the case of gymnosperm is diploid sporophyte. Gymnosperms are heterosporous, that is they are producing two different types of spores, that is microspore, that is male, megaspore, female. Microspore develops into microsporangia and megaspore develops in megasporangia. Already this we have understood in the case of pteridophyte also, isn't it? Now, the sporangia, they are formed on specialized leaf like structures called sporophyll, and sporophylls are of two types, megasporophyll and microsporophyll. That also we understood when we were understanding about pteridophyte. Now, the reproductive structure here are called lacs or cones or strobili. Lacs or cone or strobili, that also we understood in the structure of pteridophyte, isn't it? The male cone consists of microsporophyll and the female cone consists of megasporophyll. Microsporophyll bears microsporangia, that is pollen grains. Here microsporangia are known as pollen grains. Little more in an advanced form we are studying related to gymnosperm when we are comparing to pteridophyte, isn't it? When we compare pteridophyte with bryophyte, pteridophytes are in advanced state than bryophyte. So, we can say bryophyte, when we are taking the order or hierarchy, we can say algae, then comes the bryophyte, then comes the pteridophyte, then comes the gymnosperm and then comes the angiosperm. Angiosperm are the most complex plant you can see in the nature and they are more advanced than gymnosperm. Gymnosperm are more advanced than pteridophyte. Pteridophytes are more advanced than bryophytes and bryophytes are more advanced than algae. So, here it has been said that microsporangia are called pollen sacs and these pollen sacs they bear pollen grains. I think you would have understood about it. Now, you can see Here microspores develops into male gametophyte. The microspores which are produced in the microsporangia, which are called pollen sacs, these microspores, they are the pollen grains, and these pollen grains they develop into male gametophyte, that is, yeah. And here you can see the figure related to the gymnosperm cycus. This figure, this structure or this plant you would have seen in our school campus also near to the main gate. On the right side you would have seen this plant in our school campus itself. This is cycus. This is Pinus male cone. The cone is very short or small when we compare it to the Pinus female cone. You can see the female cone is larger in size. So, the difference between the male cone and the female cone in Pinus is male cone is smaller in size and female cone is larger in size. So, this is about the cycus and Pinus of gymnosperm related to the strobili, lax or cone present in them. Now, megasporophyll, it consists of megasporangia, that is ovules. Megasporangia are also called ovules. Little more in advanced form we are studying related to megasporangia. Now, in the case of ovule, we can say that it consists of many cells, and among these cells one cell will be differentiating to form megaspore mother cell. In ovule there are many cells present, and among these many cells one cell will be differentiating to form megaspore mother cell, isn't it? And this megaspore mother cell divide by meiosis to form 4 megaspores. They are haploid. So, megaspore mother cell is diploid. It consists of 2n number of chromosome, and this megaspore mother cell divides by meiotic division, and it will be producing 4 megaspores, and these 4 megaspores are haploid. Now, out of these 4 megaspores, 3 will degenerate and only 1 will remain functional. So, 4 haploid megaspores are produced there, but out of these 4 haploid megaspores, 3 megaspores it will degenerate and only 1 megaspore will be remaining functional. Now, the functional megaspore give rise to female gametophyte which produces egg. After fertilization, zygote develops into embryo and ovule develops into seed. Functional megaspore will be giving rise to female gametophyte which will be having an egg. Now, the pollen grain which is formed there, which is a male gamete, that male gamete and the egg will be fusing together, and after fertilization zygote is developed, and this zygote later on develops into embryo, and the ovule which was present there develops into seed. This is how the reproduction is taking place, isn't it? Now, you can see here the development of female gametophyte, how the female gametophyte is developed. As I told you, this is megasporophyll, and megasporophyll is bearing megasporangium, and in the megasporangium is ovule. This is the structure of ovule, and there are different types of cells are present there, and among this one cell will be functioning as megaspore mother cell, and this megaspore mother cell will be undergoing meiosis, and because of that you can see here 1, 2, 3, 4 megaspores are produced there, and later on what happens, degeneration of 3 megaspores are taking place and only 1 megaspore is functional, and thus what is happening there in the archegonium, the megaspore will be giving rise to an egg, and after that the egg cell as well as the pollen grain, they will be fusing there in the megasporangium, and thus fertilization is taking place, and later on embryo is formed, that is zygote is formed there, and later on the zygote divides to produce embryo. So, here this is how the development of female gametophyte is taking place. This is important, my dear children, you have to just understand it very nicely. Now, the next one is life cycle of gymnosperm. You can see this is the mature sporophyte. We know that the plant body of gymnosperm is a sporophytic plant body which is 2n in number, that is diploid. Now it produces microspore, that is cones are there with microsporangia, and there is a cone where we can see ovule. Now this microsporangia will produces microspores which will be forming a pollen grain, and the pollen grain is a male gametophyte and pollination will be taking place there. And later on here in the case of ovulate cone, we can see in the ovule there are megasporangia, and in the megasporangium what is present there? Megaspore mother cell, and we understood that through meiosis 4 megaspore are produced, and out of 4, 3 will be degenerating and only 1 will be functional. And later on what is happening there? The female gametophyte which is produced there will be having the pollen tube produced from the pollen grain, and it enters into the female gametophyte where egg is present there, and in the pollen tube male gamete is present there. The male gamete and the egg will be fusing together and fertilization is taking place, and after fertilization zygote will be formed there which will be later developing into embryo which is 2n in number, and that embryo later on will be developing into seed, and the seed after the dispersal will be developing into sporophyte, and we will be getting a mature sporophyte. This is the life cycle of gymnosperm. It is very easy, my dear children. If you just understand it, I think you will be able to understand it very nicely. You can go through it, and just it is a advantage to know the life cycle of gymnosperm which is not there in your textbook. It will be very useful for you when you will be going for higher studies. So that is related to the life cycle of gymnosperm. Now we are into the next class of plant kingdom, and that is angiosperms. Angiosperms, angion means hidden, sperma means seed. They are the flowering and seed bearing vascular plants, and the seeds are enclosed in the fruits. The stamens are equivalent to microsporophyll, and the carpels are equivalent to megasporophylls. Till gymnosperm we studied about microsporophyll and megasporophyll. Now when we are studying about angiosperms, we will be studying as stamens instead of microsporophyll, carpels instead of megasporophyll. Now carpel that bears ovules, that is megasporangium, already we understood in the gymnosperm, and it consists of, or it contains megaspores, and the stamens produce pollen grains which are called microspore. That also we studied in the structure of gymnosperm. Now after pollination, fertilization takes place, and after fertilization ovule develops into seed and ovary develops into fruit. This is important as it is the base pair relationship. Ovule is to seed, ovary is to fruit, isn't it? Now the life cycle of angiosperm, we can say that the plant body is sporophyte, male sex organ is the stamen, and the stamen consists of anther, and the anther contains the pollen grain or the microspores. Male sex organ is present there which is called stamens, and the stamen consists of anthers, and the anther contains pollen grains or microsporangia. The female sex organ is called the pistil or carpel, and it consists of a basal swollen ovary, a slender style, and a disc shaped stigma. So in the case of female sex organ which is called ovary, which is called carpel or pistil, in the structure of pistil or carpel we can say 3 parts are there. At the base we can see a swollen part, that is called ovary, and a thin filament we can see, that is the style, and on the top there is a disc shaped structure, that is called stigma. So that is the structure related to male and female sex organ. Now in the case of ovary, it contain many ovules, and the ovule contain female gametophyte which is termed as embryo sac. ovule is having a female gametophyte and the female gametophyte is termed as embryo sac. Now, each embryo sac contain 8 nucleus arranged in the following way. Embryo sac is having 8 nucleus, or we can say 7 cell structure, that is arranged in a following way. Egg apparatus consists of 1 egg and 2 synergids. So, in the embryo sac the cells are arranged as egg apparatus. In the egg apparatus there will be 1 egg cell and 2 synergids. Now, next one, in the embryo sac we can see 2 polar nuclei. It fuses to produce a diploid secondary nucleus. In the center of the embryo sac we can see 2 polar nuclei which will be later on forming a diploid secondary nucleus, and in the embryo sac on the top we can see 3 antipodals. These are the cells. So, in this manner we can say 1 plus 2 3, 3 plus 2 5, 5 plus 3 8, that is 8 nucleus, or we can say 7 cell structure of embryo sac. In the case of angiosperm you can see here figures related to male and female reproductive structure and the female gametophyte. You can see here this is gynoecium carpel, this is androecium stamen. In the case of gynoecium, already I told you a swollen base is there, that is the ovary, slender style is there, or we can say a thin filament is there, that is called style, and this is the disc shaped structure, that is called stigma. Together it is called carpel, isn't it? This is the female gametophyte, that is called, so this is the female sex organ, that is called gynoecium or carpel, and here you can see this is the megasporangium or the ovule present in the ovary. And next one is androecium, that is the stamen, and it consists of microsporangium, and in the case of this thing you can see the stamen consists of a filament and the anther, and in the anther we can see the microsporangium which consists of pollen grains. Now, later on, now we understood about this one. This is the structure of embryo sac or female gametophyte. In the case of embryo sac or female gametophyte, as it is been said that 8 nucleus or 7 cell structure it is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cell structure, or 8 nucleus, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, like this we can say the embryo sac in the case of angiosperm, or the female gametophyte in the case of angiosperm consists of 8 nucleus, isn't it, and or we can say it has 7 celled structure. In this already we understood that on the top this is the chalazal end, and here we can see 3 antipodal cells. In the center we can see polar nuclei or secondary nucleus, and at the bottom, that is below at the base, this is a micropylar end, and here it consists of an egg cell and 2 synergid. This is the structure of embryo sac. This is very, very important, my dear children. Next one, it has been said that pollen grains produces pollen tube during pollination, and this pollen tube enters the embryo sac where 2 male gametes are discharged which are present in the pollen tube. After pollination, pollen grain will be producing pollen tube, and in the pollen tube 2 male gametes are present there, and this tube enters into the ovary, or we can say in the ovule, where the female gametophyte or the embryo sac is present there, in which we have seen egg cell as well as polar nuclei is present there, isn't it? So, what will happen? Through the pollen tube, the male gametes, 2 male gametes are there, these will enter into the embryo sac. Now, you can see here one of the male gamete fuses with the egg cell to form diploid zygote. From the 2 male gamete present in the pollen tube, out of these 2 male gamete, one will fuse with the egg and it will form zygote, and this process of fusion between the egg and the one of the male gamete of pollen grain is called syngamy. And next one, the other male gamete fuses with the diploid secondary nucleus to produce a triploid primary endosperm nuclei, that is called PEN. That is the second male gamete present in the pollen tube. It will be moving into the embryo sac, where you can see the central cell which consists of two polar nuclei. So, that other male gamete will be moving to the two polar nuclei, and there it will be fusing with these two polar nuclei, and such kind of fusion where one male gamete and two polar nuclei fuses together is known as triple fusion. So, in the angiosperm we can say that two fertilization is taking place simultaneously. One is syngamy, the other one is triple fusion. Syngamy is a process where one male gamete fuses with the egg and zygote is formed there, and triple fusion is a process where the another male gamete fuses with the two polar nuclei present in the embryo sac to form endosperm, or we can say PEN, that is primary endosperm nucleus. That process is triple fusion. As syngamy and triple fusion is taking place simultaneously in the embryo sac, or we can say the female gametophyte of angiosperm. Therefore, such kind of fusion or fertilization is known as double fertilization. This is very important, my dear children. You can see here the fusion in the angiosperm is called as double fertilization because of the involvement of two fusion. Here you can see double fertilization, isn't it? Here the egg cell is present there, synergids are there, antipodals are there, and what happened? The pollen tube is entering with the two male gametes into the embryo sac, where you can see release of sperms is taking place. One will be fusing with the egg cell and the other will be fusing with the two polar nuclei. Due to that, what happened? Zygote is produced there and endosperm is formed there. So, this is the triple fusion and this one is the syngamy, and together it is known as double fertilization. Here you can see double fertilization which consists of syngamy as well as triple fusion. Syngamy is a fusion of male gamete and egg, and triple fusion is a fusion of male gamete and two polar nuclei. Syngamy will be resulting in zygote, that will be resulting in embryo, and triple fusion is resulting into primary endosperm nucleus, which will be later on helping in the formation of endosperm. So, this is the just a short note of double fertilization which is taking place in angiosperm. Okay, my dear children. Now, the next one is related to the zygote, which is formed there during double fertilization. It develops into embryo, primary endosperm nucleus develops into endosperm, and after fertilization ovule develops into seed. This is important. Now, plant life cycle and alternation of generation. We have to see how the plant life cycle and alternation of generation is taking place in different groups of plant in plant kingdom. We know that there is a haploid plant body and it is producing gametes. They are called gametophytes, and we also know that diploid plant body is also present there and which produces spores, and therefore they are called sporophyte. So, in the plant body two types of body we can see, one is the gametophytic plant body and the second one is sporophytic plant body. And during the life cycle of sexually reproducing plant, there is alternation of generation between haploid gametophyte and diploid sporophyte. The life cycle of a sexually reproducing plant is taking place. During their life cycle, we can see alternation of generation is taking place between the gametophyte as well as sporophyte. That means gametophyte alters the sporophyte and a sporophyte alters the gametophyte. In this manner, the life cycle of the plant body is taking place in the case of plants in the plant kingdom. The following are three different life cycles found in various plant groups. We can see three different life cycles we can see in the various plant groups. One is haplontic life cycle. From the name itself we can say This life cycle consists of dominant haploid phase, that is why it is called haplontic. Haplo means haploid. So, haploid is gametophytic phase. So, gametophyte plant body will be dominant in such kind of life cycle. Diplontic life cycle. Diploid means we already know that sporophytic plant body is diploid. So, in some species of plants we can see diplontic life cycle. So, here the sporophytic plant body is dominant. And next one is haplodiplontic life cycle. That means here it is the 50-50% we can see related to the life cycle taking place in the certain species of plant. Haplontic phase will be dominant for certain period of time and diplontic period will be dominant for certain period of time. So, 50-50% chances is there for haplontic life cycle and diplontic life cycle in the cases of certain plants in the plant kingdom. So, we can see related to the life cycle, it is being classified into haplontic, haplodiplontic and diplontic. Haplontic, you can see here the dominant photosynthetic phase in such plant is the free living haploid gametophyte. This kind of life cycle is termed as haplontic, and many algae such as Volvox pyrogyra, they will be having haplontic life cycle. Many algae are there for haplontic life cycle, example Volvox pyrogyra. They represent haplontic life cycle. In the case of haplodiplontic, bryophytes and pteridophytes exhibit an intermediate condition, that is haplodiplontic. Both phases are multicellular. However, they differ in their dominant phases. In this case, we can see haplodiplontic phases, that is the intermediate condition in the case of bryophyte and pteridophyte. These are the plants which exhibit haplodiplontic life cycle. And in the case of diplontic, diploid sporophyte is dominant, photosynthetic, and it is independent phase of the plant. This kind of life cycle is called diplontic, and gymnosperm as well as angiosperms, they are showing diplontic life cycle. So, this examples are very important, my dear children. In the case of haplontic, algae like Volvox and Spirogyra. In the case of haplodiplontic, bryophytes and pteridophytes, and in the case of diplontic, it is gymnosperms and angiosperms. These are the examples which you have to study, very nicely related to the life cycles present in the plants in the plant kingdom. This is very important, you have to study. Now, one by one we can see about the life cycle taking place in the case of different groups of plants. The first one is haplontic. Here it has been said that in haplontic life cycle, sporophytic generation is represented only by one cell zygote. You can see only one cell zygote is present there, isn't it? There are no free living sporophyte. In this case, no free living sporophyte is present there. Meiosis in the zygote results in the formation of haploid spores. After meiosis, haploid spores are produced there, and this spores will be germinating to produce gametophytic plant body, and this plant body will be having gametogenesis, that is gamete producing parts are present there, where in the plant body we can see male sex organ as well as female sex organ, and later on the production of egg and sperm will be leading to the fertilization, which is called syngamy, and later on again after fertilization zygote is produced there. This is how the life cycle of haplontic plant is been taking place, and here you can see the most of the time period is there with the gametophytic plant body when compared with the time period of sporophytic plant body. That is why it has been said that gametophytic plant body are dominant here, and as they are haploid, therefore the life cycle is known as haplontic life cycle. This is important. And next one is related to the diplontic life cycle. Here the diploid sporophyte is dominant. You can see the time period related to the sporophytic phase is more than the time period of gametophytic phase, isn't it? That's why sporophytic phase is dominant here. It is photosynthetic, it is independent phase, and it alters with the multicellular short-lived haploid gametophyte. Multicellular short-lived, this part is very short-lived and it alters with this gametophyte. Here you can see, isn't it, what is happening there? Gametogenesis is taking place after meiosis, spores are produced there, gametes are produced there, and these gametes, they will be, after fertilization, will be producing zygote, and zygote will be producing a diploid sporophyte. Again, that sporophyte will be producing spores which will be giving rise to gametophyte, but this period is dominant as this period is large when we compare to the gametophytic period, which is very much short lived. That is why it is called diplontic. Diplontic means diploid. So, that is related to diplontic life cycle in the case of angiosperms and gymnosperms. Now, the last one is related to the haplodiplontic phase, where we have seen that it is the intermediate phase where we can see haploid phase as well as diploid phase taking place, and here it has been said that a dominant independent photosynthetic phase is there, which is haploid gametophyte, and it alters with the short lived multicellular sporophyte, which is totally or partially dependent on gametophyte, isn't it? Here both the phases are dominant there. When their phase comes, they will be becoming dominant. That is why it is called haplodiplontic, and in this case you can see the time period related to both the phases, that is diploid phase and haploid phase, is equal. That is why it is haplodiplontic, isn't it, my dear children? And here you can see gametophytic phase is here, which is n in number. This gametophyte will be producing gametogenesis, that is the male and female gametes, and the male and female gametes, they will be fusing together by the process called syngamy, or their fertilization is taking place, due to which zygote is produced, and this zygote will be giving rise to sporophyte, which is 2n in number, and later on the sporophyte will be producing spores which will be undergoing meiosis, and spores are produced there which are haploid in number, and this spores will be giving rise to gametophyte. In this manner we can say the time duration between haplontic and diplontic period is equal in the case of haplodiplontic life cycle of the plants, and bryophyte and pteridophyte, they exhibit such kind of life cycle. My dear children, I think you would have understood about haplontic, diplontic and haplodiplontic life cycle related to the plant groups in plant kingdom. It is very, very important. You have to understand it and you have to study it. So, with this, your second chapter, that is plant kingdom, is completed, and if you are having any doubt related to today's session, my dear children, please call me and clarify your doubts and jot down the notes which is being highlighted here in the slides. And my dear children, with this I wind the session, and in the next session we will be meeting. Till then, take care.